Hello, good to see you. Pastor Sam with a reflection for March 12th. We are going to be talking today about the idea, the declaration. It's a good time to be a Christian. Now, as usually, I've got a special guest over there who I think is
Hi.
making his way over. Special guest. I try to listen to you people throughout the week and kind of find something that people are talking about to do these reflections on. So anyway, the um, basis for this, we had our circuit pastors meeting here at Faith on Tuesday, and Pastor Andrew Utecht, who is in our circuit, gave this. It was an amazing sermon. It was absolutely incredible. I'm basically stealing his sermon, so I acknowledge that. I disclose that to you. Stealing in the name of the gospel is a wonderful thing. Take what other people have said about Jesus and share it with others. That's beautiful. Anyway, so I give him full credit for all of the ideas in here. I take full responsibility for anything I say that you might disagree with. So give him the praise and me the criticism. Anyway, there's never been no, it's a good time to be a Christian. I don't want to say there's never been a better time. I don't know. I don't like saying it that way. It's a good time to be a Christian. Oh, Paulie's got his two favorite colors.
Blue and red.
Blue and red. It's a good time to be a Christian. Now, his sermon, he kind of talked, so kind of looming over, it's been a year since we've had the virus. About a year. I mean, I'm not sure when exactly it started, and I'm sure that we're not done today by a long stretch. But it's been a year, about, since we've been doing virus things. And his sermon, what was beautiful about it, I was like, okay, a sermon on the virus. Like, anyway. But his sermon was really about, it's a good time to be a Christian. And the virus was just the setting of it. So that's what I'm trying to really replicate. That no matter what happens in the world, it's a good time to be a Christian. He kind of went through different things that we've experienced, different new and weird stuff that's been going on this last year, and how being a Christian puts all of that into a really good perspective, and again takes the burden off of us and puts the burden on God, who's got really broad shoulders and can carry heavy burdens anyway. So here was kind of he based it on this verse that I want to read, and then we'll kind of go through. Basically, I'm going to re-say his sermon. Hebrews 2:14 and 15. Since therefore the children share in flesh and blood, he himself, talking about Jesus, he himself likewise partook of the same things, that through death he might destroy the one who has the power of death, that is, the devil, and deliver all those who through fear of death were subject to lifelong slavery. So running, I'm going to put this over here. Running throughout his sermon was this idea of death and the fear of death. Death and the fear of death. And how as Christians, we have really good answers to life's questions, but especially to virus questions. We have really good, compelling, mostly satisfying answers to these things. All right. So he kind of walked through, and I'm going to walk through with you. How's your supply of toilet paper? That kind of made us all chuckle. Do you remember when that was a thing? Like, go out and hoard toilet paper because the world is going to run out of it. And how's your supply of Clorox wipes? That's still, I'm starting to see them more and more on store shelves. So I think we've kind of turned a corner on that one too. But do you remember the fear? Oh, Menards has just got a new shipment of toilet paper. You need to go out this morning and get some. Otherwise, I hope you subscribe to a newspaper or grew corn last year. I think that's how they used to do it. Do you remember the fear? Are you going to have enough food? What happens if all of the food trucks are gone? right? We have a God who gives us daily bread, which is not just bread, but all of the necessities that pertain to the body, including cleaning up after ourselves. Our God continues to provide us with these things. And yeah, maybe some days you didn't have Clorox wipes. Our house was without those for months. Months we didn't have them. But we still got by. We got by in other ways. We used soap and water. We used, right? God continued to supply us with what we needed. Maybe not in the most convenient way, but he gave us what we needed. He continues to give us our daily necessities for today. And don't worry about tomorrow. That was kind of another one of his themes. We spend so much energy worrying about tomorrow and the day after and the future. And another one of his texts was that do not worry text in, I think it was like Matthew 6. Like, God takes care of the birds. They don't know how to farm. They don't store things up in barns. They don't hoard toilet paper. But you know what? The birds pretty much got by this last year with minimal no interruption, I dare say. Or the flowers. Consider the flowers. They're really pretty. They didn't know there was a worldwide pandemic. That's kind of a human phenomena and not a creation-wide thing. God, the God who takes care of those stinking little birds and who makes the flowers so beautiful loves you and continues to take care of you. He gives you his daily bread. Do you remember that feeling of guilt, especially at the beginning of the virus? What if I kill grandma? Right? That was the phrase that was thrown out. You don't want to kill grandma. What if I get infected and bring it back and I'm like patient zero? I spread it to all and this feeling of not even that you had done it, because I don't know if we had, I mean, I'm sure we had a patient zero. That's how biology works. That's how virology works. But like, what would be the purpose of finding that person? Or could we even do that, right? We put all of this we put all of this burden on ourselves. Oh, what if I, could I live with that guilt? Well, you don't have to, friend. I doubt that you were patient zero. I mean, statistically, it's 1 in 15,000. Those are good odds. I would play those odds. But we have this thing called forgiveness. And do you know how many sins forgiveness covers? It covers all of the sins. Yes, God can even forgive patient zero. God can and does forgive whoever brought this thing to wherever you thought was important, right? We have this great gift called forgiveness. You don't have to burden yourself with the mistakes of the past. You just say, you know what, God, I messed up. I don't even know all the ways I messed up, but I messed up in so many different ways. Forgive me. And he's like, okay, I'm glad you asked. I was waiting to forgive you. Thank you for coming and asking. I've been wanting to do this for you. We shouldn't remain guilty. We shouldn't carry this burden of guilt around with us. What if I? Now, as kind of an aside, we're not careless or reckless. That's all I'm going to say on that. We were really worried about ourselves and still wanting to kind of help others. Now, so let me give you an illustration, right? We had some members here at Faith who offered to basically do grocery pickup, right? And even some of our grocery stores were doing this. You can call into the store. You can give them a list of what you want. They'll pick it all, pack it. They'll send it to your door. They'll drop it on the curb. You come out and get it a few minutes later. Right? We had this We still wanted to help people, but we were really, Paulie's showing you his cross necklace. We were really uncertain and again worried about, and I think this was one of the best tensions that we had, and I was really kind of happy to see. We still wanted to go out and to help people, but we were still sort of cautious about any unintended consequences we might have. God places us into certain relationships, right? There were brave members of our congregation who were willing to do that. You know what? I can go into the store, I can pick up all the stuff, I can take it to you, because if I should get sick, again, statistically, I have a better chance of recovering than maybe some other people who should and who did remain off by themselves. There was this wanting to reach out and help people in need. And that's good. That's wonderful. God tells us, man, I need a drink. That's not what God tells us. God tells us to love our neighbors. He wants us to love the people around us. Kind of going back a little bit, those feelings of guilt that we had and the uncertainty of the future. What's it going to be like in a month or in a year? Well, welcome, it's been a year. Or in 5 years or in 10 years. What's it going to look like? Are we still going to be doing X? Are we going to have to think about this or that after insert the length of time? And again, our God knows the future. He's the only being who knows the future. And he's the one who controls the future, who orchestrates all of these events so that he can achieve his desired future for you. Yes, you individually. God is orchestrating all the events in the entire universe so that you have the future he wants for you. Wow. God cares that deeply about you that he's already doing that. He doesn't need you to pick up the slack where he left off. He doesn't need your input or your considerations or your worry. God's already he knew about this even before he made the whole universe. He knew what he was going to do. He's got this thing locked down. You and I we shouldn't worry about the future.
Daddy,
God knows what he's doing. God's making the best future for you. It's a great time to be a Christian. Do you see how all of these wonderful gifts we have as Christians directly answer all of the questions that our world has? It's a great time to be a Christian. Some people died this last year. Some people died from the virus. Some people died from just other death because we had all the normal junk going on as well. You're going to die. I'm going to die. Paul's going to die. Right? We're all going to die.
Yeah.
And what's Jesus going to do to us after we die?
Raise us from the dead.
I don't know if you heard that. Paul said, raise us from the dead. That's right. A 5-year-old knows that. You better know that. Yes, I am shaming you right now. My 5-year-old knows what Jesus is going to do to us when we die. Jesus is going to raise you from the dead. Wow. You don't even have to worry about death. I'm going to say something that might be controversial, but I don't care. Through death, Jesus might destroy the one who has the power of death, that is the devil, and deliver all those who through fear of death were subject to lifelong slavery. Fear of death is unchristian. I didn't say that. God said that. Fear of death is unchristian. Jesus delivered you from fear of death. Fearing death is unchristian. Why? Because God's already told you what he's going to do. He's going to raise you from the dead. What possible reason could you have to fear death? What possible reason? Are you uncertain in God's promise? Are you worried that God is unable to care for your family and friends without you? Like you're the linchpin of the entire universe. Are you apprehensive about the pain of death? That's reasonable. But you've gone through plenty of suffering. God will deliver you through even the valley of the shadow of death. I think there's a psalm about that. What possible reason could you have? Fearing death is unchristian. Jesus delivered you from death and from the fear of death. You can face all of life with great confidence, with the best confidence, the most awesomest answers, double superlative. Because God already knows. God has made this whole plan. God has given us answers to all the important questions in life, and especially virus-related questions. God has given us awesome answers. It's a great time to be a Christian. I don't know how other people do it. I don't know. I don't know how non-Christians go. It's a terrible world. If you think about take away the promise of God's provision, take away the gift of forgiveness, take away the resurrection, take away the command to help others, and what are you left with? Well, kill yourself, because the alternative is terrifying. Or hole yourself up and never see anyone again. Like, those are terrible. The alternatives to Christianity are awful. I would be a Christian by default. Holy moly. It's a good time to be a Christian. It's a really good time. Any time's a good time to be a Christian, but it's a good time to be a Christian. And we can move forward. I don't know how much longer we've got. I mean, we seem to make progress. I don't know. I don't want to get into that whole thing. No matter what happens, no matter how long stuff is around, we have these amazing answers that God has given us. It's kind of like he knew the future and he had already provided the things that we needed. That's kind of the God he is. He gives us forgiveness so we don't have to feel guilty. He provides for our daily needs so that we don't have to hoard a year's supply of whatever. He gives us the promise of the resurrection, that you will live with him in a place where viruses are obliterated and there's no more death or sickness or sadness or any of that dumb junk. We have amazing promises from God. It's a good time to be a Christian. It's necessary to be a Christian. I'm glad that you're a Christian.
I also have a window.
God's peace be with you, and I'll see you next time.